actually, I'm going to talk about World War IV. When I first said I would do this talk, it was about fairy dust and that magical moment when creativity hits you and that thing that happens. And then sometimes it's like Thor's hammer. And last night, I've literally been up all night because last night, and there was a reason why I'm bringing this up. I had a mosquito in the room, and I'm allergic to mosquitoes. And that thing, I don't know, here in San Diego, there's these lethal mosquitoes, and they bite right through your clothes. So I'm sitting there, and it's late at night, and I'm scrolling, and I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I'm feeling this burning, and my left arm had 7 huge welts on it. And then I'm thinking, oh my God. So I put my arm under the covers, and then it went after my right arm, and I put Avon Skin So Soft on it, which is what I use in the Amazon against mosquitoes, and they hate that thing. And it didn't work. And that stupid thing was flying around me. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm still up, and I literally bit me behind the ear at one point. I got up, I sprayed DEET everywhere, which stinks. Reminds me of, that smell you get when you're out camping and you're spraying DEET all over yourself, which actually is kind of nice. But so there I am, and I'm thinking, what does this have to do with creativity? And I realized that the creative mind never turns off. So 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm writing an outline for a sci-fi spoof about World War IV, and a 12-year-old student who at a science fair has discovered that the bed bugs in Paris have turned into these micro beings that fly around, and they're killing everybody in the world. And I think that's the spontaneous thing that happens to all of us, because we're just born this way, aren't we? I mean, you guys are all really creative. You you are all working on things. And Sammy, tell everybody what you do, because we introduced ourselves during the last meeting. You're doing some really amazing things.
Oh, bless you, bless you. Hello, everybody. So I'm Sammy. My artist project's called Vinci. So I create music and multimedia content and storytelling around this really this character, this fictional being who is a super sentient AI superheroine from the intergalactic future. But I'm just so impressed by everybody here, including you, Cirina. So that's why I love this conference.
Yeah, it's
You know,
fun.
we
It's
can
just so
draw
much
so many
fun.
parallels, but see differences and the similarities at the same time, and how we approach our creative process. So yeah,
Yeah.
wanted to be here.
Um, Karina is doing interviews with scientists, and Bryce is teaching college and shooting video, right? Did I get that right? Am I remembering that right? And we have our lovely moderator who does everything for the conference. I want to thank you. So the point of the mosquito story is, not only did I start working on that silly script, I'll probably never produce it, but it was kind of fun. I just needed an outlet. I also wrote a poem. The poem was totally different. The poem was romantic and sweet, and kind of got me thinking about things other than World War IV. So the point with all of that is really that it's the little things. And there's 2 kinds of creativity that I see us dealing with here. One is the spontaneity of the creativity that we all have in our DNA and that we all live every day. And then there's also the demands that are put upon us when we have creativity on demand. And that's a whole different thing, right? When you're under deadline. So how do you deliver on both fronts? Like, obviously the spontaneity, it's just fun, we do it. We could be walking down the street, and one thing I like to do is going through the airport. I like to imagine for the universe to, okay, reveal to me who in this airport are angels. And this weird thing happens. It's the craziest question, but this weird thing happens where, and I may be imagining it, but every single time I travel, I'll be walking, I'll have my things, and I'll go, okay, universe, show me the angels. And then people I don't even know will start going, and they'll walk by me. It happens all around me. Or they'll go, you know, it's like, now maybe it's because I've put something in my brain that says be receptive to other people, and they're picking up on that. And that itself is also a blessing, right? So it's those little things. And the other thing about creativity that I love, there's no rules. There's no rules for the creative process. Like we're all making things that we love. And yeah, you might have somebody that's hired you to create and you have to stay within that sphere, but within your own little world, there's many, many different ways of accomplishing that. There's different ways of lighting a video scene. There's different ways of dealing with the talent. There's different ways of dancing with mocap. There's different ways of dealing with the scientist and learning about science. And I'm sure you also do other things, Karina. I don't know about all of you, but the other thing is that I've always been told, why don't you concentrate on one thing? And my kids tease me about having ADD. I probably do. I'm almost positive I do. And, you know, there was a post on Instagram the other day, and his name is, I'm going to read it correctly. It's Dr. Hollowell, Hallowell. If you find it, he talks about how people with ADD have Ferraris for brains, but we have brakes of a bicycle. And he talks about the negative comments we get. He talks about distractibility and the flip side of that being curiosity. He talks about hyperactivity and the flip side, the positive side of that being energy. He talks about impulsivity, which we're all impulsive, right? If you're creative, you're impulsive, but that's creativity. That is the positive and what sometimes the outside world sees as negative about us. So I just don't let anybody get me down about it. I am the kind of person that loves everything around me. And even if it's a mosquito trying to kill me, I was wondering last night, how much blood can one mosquito hold? Because that thing, I mean, I would show you, but it's really gross. I've got welts everywhere. So how do we, what causes the brakes to be put on? We've got time pressures. Maybe we're just like frozen in space for some reason, or we are undervaluing ourselves, which we have to stop right now, stop doing. We're afraid to fail or afraid to succeed. There's two sides to that coin, right? Or we're just plain anxious, which comes along with that hyperactivity, right? So I'll give you an example of self-doubt, and we all have it, no matter how successful you are in life. And I have talked with, over the years, some of the most successful people in the world, and they all have self-doubts. They all do. They all wonder if they could have done things better. And I think that's part of creativity. I've never met a creative person that's completely satisfied with what they've created. I don't know if you guys go through that, but I look back at my photos and I might have won an award for it. And I look at it and I go, but maybe I could have changed the angle just a tiny bit, or maybe I could have, whatever. So I'm doing a documentary called The Purple Heart, and it's a movie about two generations of wounded warriors. My self-doubt with that movie is it's become a much bigger project than I ever thought. It started out as one series of interviews with one wounded veteran here in San Diego. I actually moved here in part because of it, because I was coming down every weekend for years. And then I decided, no, the reason I was so involved in it is because of my father, who was a veteran of 3 wars. And the reason I was so attached to the story about Keontae's story and what happened to him in Afghanistan was that my father was also a wounded warrior who survived first wave Omaha Beach, the Battle of Chosin, all of the European campaign in World War II, and Vietnam. But in order to make that work, I have to also talk about why it's important to me. And I have had writer's block because of it. And I realized the other day, I cannot let that happen. So I have to take the same advice I'm giving you. I have to say to myself, you know what? It's my movie. And this is the story. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't. But there's got to be somebody in the world that will appreciate it. I'm looking at the time because I'm going to go over again. The other thing that holds us back sometimes is perfectionism. And I learned early on that, like, one of the first things I did at MGM was press releases, right? I first went to MGM in the mid 80s and I was writing press releases, and the boss told me, look, you got to stop worrying about being perfect, because by the time it gets done, you're going to go through 12 revisions anyway. Just get it done, write it, get it out there, and then we'll deal with it. The other thing is we need to find our child. We need to find that childlike quality, the 5-year-old that loved playing with race cars, or that loved drawing, or that loved dancing or singing, whatever it was. That person is still inside of us. And I remember at that same studio, we had a vice president who hated his birthday. He literally took off on his birthday. So what I did was I did something really crazy, and it was in the publicity and marketing and distribution department, right? I had everybody get together and we gave him a birthday party and we filmed it and we made a video of it. And it was the silliest, stupidest video because we didn't have any, we just needed to get it done. We had handmade little hats with newspaper, and it just was silly. It was the kind of thing a kid would do. And we laughed so hard. And years later, we gave it to him at the premiere. I think it was Rocky IV. I can't remember. Or we gave it to him at the premiere in front of everybody in the dinner. But years later, everybody's still talking about it because we weren't worried about whether or not it was perfect. We just had fun. And I think that's so important. The other thing is keep a journal, but not the journal that everybody tells you to keep where you write down. You can do that. We all want to have write down our dreams. The kind of journal I'm talking about that really has worked for me in the past is before you go to sleep at night, ask yourself that one question you want an answer to. I don't know, have you tried this? I love it. Just ask yourself that one question. Oh, look at the cat. Hey, baby. And then you sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, you write down whatever dream you had. And in hieroglyphics, it'll tell you the answer to the question that you had. You always get your answers. So I always say, ask the question at night and sleep on it. And there are two kinds of voices that talk to us. And this is where the fairy dust comes in. It's the tiny little voice that sprinkles itself around you. And you're going about your day and you're doing this and you're doing that. And that little voice says something to you. And you don't pay attention. But you should pay attention because that's often the answers to everything that you need. And then there's another really big voice that some of us are lucky enough once or twice in our life to hear. And that's the voice. And I've literally heard this, the voice of the universe or the voice of God or whatever you want to call it. It comes to you and it says something to you. You may or may not understand it. And listen to it. Right. So harness your emotions too. That's the other thing. After my father's death, I was just brokenhearted, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's dark and we're leaving the hospital and he had passed away. And I heard the crickets and I'm with my mother and my brother and we're walking home and I just was devastated. And I went home and I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing fireflies. And I wrote a poem. And that really helped. That was as an artist, as a writer, as somebody who's creative, that got me out. I'm feeling the emotions. Sorry. After my mother's death, it became ladybugs. And then it became the sound of her canary that I had given her before she died. She loved canaries. She was Belgian and her father was a coal miner. So canaries are very important in our family. So I actually made a video of the bird singing, and I put ladybugs in it. So that's something that I think you can take that emotion and you can use that as a way of sympathizing with other people. Brings a depth to your work that some people that don't recognize that have. So imposter syndrome is a very popular, common phrase right now. But you know what I say to that? And I was suffering from it from the Purple Heart movie. So I'm talking to myself now too. Don't listen to that, because who knows you better than you? Nobody. And I always think back at the beginning of time. Everybody says take lessons, do tutorials, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's better just to obviously you have to learn, but do it. You have to just do it. At some point, there was somebody that was the first person to think of painting. They didn't have a tutor, right? So think about that. I was once told, "Don't ever take singing lessons; it'll ruin your voice." And you know they're probably right. So you have to trust your brain. You have to love your brain. I love my brain. I say thank you, honey. You are amazing, and you are best friends to my heart. And the two of you together drive everything that I do in life. And if you just say that to your brain and you daydream during the day and you just stop and you take 1 or 2 or 5 or 15 minutes, you can be busy. I could be editing something, but I literally set the alarm and I walk away from the computer and I just give myself, I don't scroll, I don't do anything. I'll just have a cup of tea. I'll go outside, even if it's a minute, and I'll just take a deep breath, give yourself some oxygen. So do that slow breathing that people talk about because that really helps your brain. And then sometimes some really great ideas happen, but that walking away is really, really important. The other thing, and I do have a minute, right? Do I have another minute? Is routine. I know we're creatives and we don't like structure, but I find that a little bit of structure in the middle of all the chaos sort of helps me to manage everything. And it has made such a difference in my life. So, my particular routine is I literally have a book that I use to schedule, and I take a few things that I know are going to be really important during the day because I'm running 4 businesses. So, what's going to be my goals for the next day, and I write that down, and then I put other things on a longer list which I may or may not get to, and then I just go to sleep and I ask the question. I wake up in the morning, I get up, I have my tea, and I write down anything I can remember about what I dreamed during the night and some things that I need to possibly polish during the day. I do not watch news first thing in the morning ever again. And here's the cool thing I've learned how to do. I have retrained social media. I've totally retrained. I go on Instagram now and all I get are happy things. I get good news, I get happy things. And the way I did that was I spent some time, I scrolled past all the negativity and I took the time to find people that were doing good things. And I literally commented, "Hey, this is great," or "You've inspired me," or "This is so wonderful," or "I can tell you really love each other," that kind of thing. And I'm kidding. Now it's coming all back. So it's those little things. It's the mosquitoes that can help you enter a new kind of creativity, right? But it's that one little line that you draw with your charcoal pencil, or one little line with your paintbrush, or one small thought from that tiny voice, or just heartbeat, one heartbeat that makes you stop and think. And those are the things. And I always say that a joyous life well lived, that is our legacy. So I want you guys, go forth, live life, enjoy. Okay, so contact me.
Wow,
Fireworks,
I
I
love
love
eyes.
it. Okay, so it's Cirina at Catania.us. It's my name, first and last name, or you can go to CirinaCatania.com. I don't really do a lot on the internet. Best thing is just to Google me, and there's all kinds of stuff on there. And yeah, and please feel free to, if you've got questions, because I know this is very short. So if you do have questions, I'm really happy to talk to you further. Okay, just put Creativity Conference in the subject line so it doesn't get buried. And I promise you, if I don't answer, please remind me. Just say, "Hey, I emailed you," and I promise you, I will get back to you. Okay.
Wow, Cirina, you're
Okay.
awesome. Uh, let me just open 3 minutes there. So you are the last one. So
Oh, okay.
if anyone wants to ask a question, come on, let's just allow ourselves to close this in a good way. Oh, you are so inspiring. Oh my God.
Well,
Sammy,
this whole
any
conference
question?
is amazing. This
Yes. Oh
conference
my
is
God.
amazing. Go ahead, unmute and just talk. Talk to
I
me.
I just unmuted. Oh my goodness. You're so inspiring. And I just love listening. The universe is flowing through you as you speak. And There's so much wisdom that you shared. I'm just in awe. I really
Oh, thank
so
you.
thank you for that. There's so
Thank
much
you.
pearls of wisdom in that. I guess if I have a question for you, if you had like a genie, granting you a wish, what would be the one wish that you would like to see in the world?
Oh, I have a personal goal. I've realized many years ago I can't change the whole world as much as I would like to, right? I would like to change the whole world. But I listen to a lot of old Beatles music, and I realized years ago that the only thing I can do is change my small corner of it. So every single day I try to just to love other people. And if somebody is not giving it back, it's like, are you okay? Or what can I do? You seem upset. Um, if you have time to do that. But it's just like spread knowledge and joy and mutual respect. That's what I'm trying to do with the High School Media Collective, which is the nonprofit that I'm running for teaching in high schools, and actually we're moving into colleges. And it's to bring that into the classroom where a lot of people are so depressed. So I think we put a lot of weight on ourselves to change the whole world, but some of us can. I can't. I'm only one small person. I'm one speck of sand in a huge universe. And all I can do is ride the waves. And that's what I do.